All right. Hello, everyone. My name is João. I'm sorry that we could not be there today to do our econ presentation. And my group is gonna be Guilherme Carneiro, Oscar Ortega, Felipe Kulinich, and we're gonna be presenting Brazil's level of employment and unemployment. So first of all, I'm gonna introduce the background of Brazil, so you guys can have an idea of what's going on and I'm kind of having an idea of Brazil. So Brazil experienced a period of economic and social progress between 2003 and 2014, and 29 million people left poverty and inequality declined significantly. So like Brazil, they have a different level of society. For example, at some point people have so much money, but some other people have so little money. So it's very unequal, the Brazilian society nowadays, but they're trying to recover that because, as you can see in this slide. So as you see, recovering from a strong recession 2014 and 2016, the economic crisis was a result of falling commodity prices and the country's limited ability to carry out necessary fiscal reforms at all levels of governments, as you can see as I talk to you. So, and the key statistics of Brazil is unemployment rate. Unemployment rate is 12.4%, about 13.1 million people, and that's a lot of people unemployed. It's a high number for a country like Brazil with so many people, so many places, so big country. So the labor force participation rate is 62.10%. Population is 208.49 million. GDP annual growth rate is 1.0%. Inflation rate is 2.54. So we can introduce some numbers for you guys to see what's going on in Brazil, what's the situation, and with these numbers you can kind of see that the situation is not the best right now, and but they're getting better. They're
Hello everyone, today I'm going to tell you about main industries for employment in Brazil. All 8 of them are listed here as you can see. The biggest one is extraction and distribution of water and gas. After that it goes constructions. After that, as you can see, it's sales, reparation and distribution of motor vehicles and heavy machinery. After that it's corporate offices, real estate and banking. Another big industries, education, social security, public administration, and social services. After that, it's domestic services and underground economy, and others, such as food, hospitality, transport, city maintenance, and entertainment. On this slide, you can see the unemployment rate of Brazil, and the main question for this slide is why do these rates exist? And the answer you can find here. The first of all, it's because it was decline in formal job creation and many discouraged workers, because a lot of people in Brazil used to seek for a job, but then they just stopped because they couldn't find any. It makes more people turn to underground economy where they can make money quick but in a risky way, and it leads to highest concentration of unemployment in metropolitan areas. And all of that you can see in low labor force participation rate. So if we compare distribution of employment by economic sector between 2008 and 2018 in Brazil, we can see that agriculture in the industry percent of workers went lower. As we can see on this graph, the agriculture went from around 17% in 2008 to around 9% in 2018 right here. Industry didn't decrease that significantly, but it went from around 22% in 2008 to around 20% in 2018. As well, we can see that services went up from around 59% in 2008 to around 71% in 2018. In addition to that, because it was a recession in 2014, a lot of businesses closed, and people who came from agriculture sector who were working in the cities became unemployed due to structural unemployment, which also increased the number of unemployed people in Brazil.
So I will be talking about the survey method that the Brazilian government does to find out what are their unemployment rates and to find out how many people in their population are truly unemployed. Their method is very similar to the household survey method that we have here in the United States, which is essentially a monthly survey that is conducted of as many households as possible to try to determine an estimate of how many people are truly unemployed. Essentially, that survey covers anyone in the working age, which is from 16 to the retirement age of 65. There are a lot of problems, however, with the household survey, as we have identified previously. One of the problems being that it does not account for anybody working in the underground economy, nor does it account for anybody who's working from within their home. So there's a large part of people who are just not factored into this survey. Even more, Brazil is such a large country that doing a household survey at a monthly rate is very, very complicated, which means that this survey essentially is focused on the major metropolitan areas, which are the largest concentrations of people in cities such as Rio and Sao Paulo. So what is Brazil doing to face these unemployment problems? Currently, the Brazilian government must still recognize the complex relation between fiscal policy and employment. Right now, their main focus lies on fiscal policy and social security reform. However, studies have identified that there is a very complex and dependent relationship between a social security reform and employment, because there has to be a certain amount of people contributing to the social security system for the social security reform to actually work. Efforts are geared towards cutting spending. Essentially, they want to reduce government spending as much as possible. And Dr. Mark S. Langman from George Mason University identified 2 roads for Brazil to once reach full employment once again. He does mention that at full employment, Brazil, in 2012 in particular, when it was at full employment, had about a 4.3% unemployment rate. So currently, as the numbers that we have seen before, it is a great change. So he identified 2 possibilities that can be, 2 roads that can be followed in order to help deal with this situation. One of them is a fiscal adjustment, which essentially sets aside money for public spending and job creation programs. And there's also the supply side of the policy, which we'll be discussing a little later.
Welcome to the Investors Trading Academy, talking glossary of financial terms and events. Our word of the day is supply-side economics. Supply-side economics is the branch of economics that concentrates on measures to increase output of goods and services in the long run. The basis is that marginal tax rates should be reduced to provide incentives to supply additional labour and capital, and thereby promote long-term growth. Supply-side economics proposes the tax decreases may lead to economic growth. Historical data, however, shows no significant correlation between lower top marginal tax rates and GDP growth rate. The term supply-side economics is used in 2 different but related ways. Some use the term to refer to the fact that production, supply, underlies consumption and living standards. In the long run, our income levels reflect our ability to produce goods and services that people value. Higher income levels and living standards cannot be achieved without expansion in output. Virtually all economists accept this proposition and therefore are supply-siders. Supply-side economics is also used to describe how changes in marginal tax rates influence economic activity. Supply-side economists believe that high marginal tax rates strongly discourage income, output, and efficiency of resource use. In recent years, this latter use of the term has become the more common of the 2.
Breaking down Dr. Langman's work and study on that, we believe that we have 2 major options to solve Brazil unemployment. The first one being fiscal adjustments to increase public spending. This one requires a government intervention. For that, we have projects that require labor, such as constructions, to solve this problem. The current government does not believe on this approach because it will increase taxes, and this is not what the current government believes, where I'll explain in the second option. The second option believes on the supply side policy, which is what the government is currently trying to solve the Brazilian unemployment rate problem. For this option, we have the government trying to incentivize businesses with tax cut and deregulation. So we ask ourselves, how tax cuts and deregulations will increase and help the economy to grow. With tax cuts and deregulations, we have a more effective economy, meaning that we have interest rates going low, meaning the cost of the money is lower. So with that, we have the business side and also the consumer side being more productive, where the cost of the money is lower, so people are more likely to borrow money from the bank as well as businesses. A lot of economists are debating on the dollar impact on this. Some economists debate that the dollar is trading really high with the 4.20, and which was in the 90s 1.2 to a trade to 1 to 1 to 2. So we debate, is the dollar high, and why is the dollar high? So with the dollar being at 4 shows that a lot of people are not seeing Brazil as a place to invest in bonds, but now a place to invest in stocks, because it was safe to invest your retirement money in just a bond and see your money grow. But now we see Brazilians seeing the stock being the only option to see their money grow, because if you invest in bonds, you will not see your money grow anymore. The Selic index is right now at 4.5, which was already at 40%, which is a great change in the sense that we are going towards a free market, which we as a group believe to be our solution. So the conclusion being overall for the project, that the Brazilian unemployment rate fell 12% in 2019, but it still affects 12.6 million of Brazilians. What does that mean? So it means that even though it fell to 12%, it's not a great number, because if we compare to the macroeconomy, to the United States, for example, which it currently shows a 2% unemployment rate, is not a great standard, where you have 12.6 million of your citizens being unemployed. The major effect on this fell to 12% was due to informal work and unemployment. So as Philip explained previously, we have a lot of people working on informal jobs trying to solve their unemployment problem, meaning that we have a lot of people with PhDs, engineering degrees, not being able to find a job, and trying to find a way to make money. And we have the last part being the Minister of the Economy, Paulo Guedes, believing on the free market, believes on the free market economy being the solution, as well as our group. We believe that the free market economy is the way for Brazil to solve their unemployment problem. Lastly, I would like to emphasize that it was a pleasure to study my country, Brazil, and learn a little bit more about the unemployment and the policies needed to implement to have a better country. Thank you.